You know what's worse than being stuck on a failing space station? Being stuck on a failing space station with a human. And not just any human, an angry human engineer. My name is Zorbin Vex, Chief Security Officer of Orbital Platform Nexus 9, and I'm having the absolute worst day of my 342 cycles of existence. Sir, the atmospheric regulators are down to 23% capacity. My assistant Garl reports, his four eyes blinking in that annoying sequential pattern that indicates extreme stress. Station core estimates complete failure in approximately 9 hours. And the evacuation pods? I ask, already knowing the answer. All jettisoned during the initial attack, sir. The Krell battle group made sure of that before they warped away. I slam my upper appendages against the command console. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. So we have 9 hours until we all suffocate in the vacuum of space. Any other splendid news you'd like to share? Garl's skin shifts to a pale blue embarrassment, or possibly indigestion from those questionable nutrition cubes he insists on consuming. Well, sir, there is one thing. We have a human on board. The control room falls silent. Even the constantly beeping alarms seem to pause for dramatic effect. A human? On my station? How is that possible? The nearest human outpost is 17 parsecs from here. He was in the cargo bay, sir. Apparently asleep in one of the Class B transport containers. The manifest lists him as technical consultant for the Galactic Engineering Consortium. I close all 3 of my eye membranes and take a deep breath. Bring this human to me. Now. 10 minutes later, the doors to the command center hiss open, and in walks the most unimpressive sentient being I have ever laid eyes on. Bipedal, fur-covered on the top portion only, approximately 2 meters tall, wearing what appears to be a stained jumpsuit with too many pockets. The human's face displays that peculiar expression humans make when they are extremely displeased, a tightening around the mouth, narrowed visual organs, and a furrowed brow. Who's in charge of this floating disaster? The human demands, scanning the room with those bizarrely small eyes. I straighten all 4 of my spinal segments. I am Security Chief Zorbin Vex, and you will address me with the proper. Your atmospheric regulators are failing, the human interrupts, pointing at our main status display. You have got maybe 9 hours before this place becomes a very expensive coffin. So, unless you have got a solution tucked under one of those fancy tentacles, I suggest you start listening to me. And you are? I ask, my voice dripping with as much sarcasm as my translator can convey. Devon Parker, Senior Engineer, Galactic Engineering Consortium. I was supposed to be in cryo-sleep until we reached Vega Prime, but your little space battle woke me up. He runs a hand through his head fur. Nice job, by the way, getting your station shot up by the Krell. Really top-notch security work there, Chief. One of my junior officers, Plex, makes that gurgling sound that passes for laughter among her species. I shoot her a glare that promises painful reassignment to waste management. Mr. Parker. I say with forced calm, perhaps you haven't grasped the severity of our situation. We have been attacked by a Krell battle group. Our defensive systems are offline. Our communications array is destroyed, our evacuation pods are gone, and our life support is failing. We are, as you humans so eloquently put it, screwed. Devon Parker smiles. Not the friendly kind of smile. The kind of smile that predatory creatures make just before they strike. Chief Vex, I have been fixing impossible problems on impossible deadlines for 20 years. This isn't even the worst Monday I have had this month. He walks over to the nearest terminal, nudging aside a terrified junior technician. First things first, let me see the station schematics. You can't just walk in here and... 9 hours, Chief. Tick-tock. I hate to admit it, but the human has a point. Garl, show Mr. Parker the station schematics. Garl's appendages dance across the holographic interface, bringing up the 3-dimensional model of Nexus 9. Parker studies it with surprising intensity, occasionally muttering to himself in that barbaric human language. Okay, he says after several minutes. Here's what we are going to do. Your atmospheric regulators are toast, but the backup life support system in Section 47B is still intact. Problem is, it's not connected to the main habitat rings. We know that, I snap. The backup system is designed for emergency use in the central core only. Right, so we are going to reroute it. Parker's fingers swipe through the hologram, tracing new pathways through the station's infrastructure. We need to manually reconfigure the distribution network to pump oxygen to the main sections. It will be a jury-rigged solution, but it should buy us at least 3 days. That's impossible, Plex interjects. The distribution network can't be reconfigured without specialized equipment that we don't have. Parker gives her a look that somehow manages to be both pitying and contemptuous. Watch me. Over the next hour, I observe with reluctant fascination as the human moves from terminal to terminal, accessing systems, overriding safety protocols, and occasionally cursing in what my translator identifies as colorful human metaphors involving reproductive acts and excretory functions. Sir Garl whispers to me, "Is it wise to give the human this much access to our systems?" "Do you have a better idea?" I whisper back. "Besides, what's the worst he can do?" "Kill us faster." "I can hear you," Parker calls out without looking up from his work. "And for the record, if I wanted to kill you, I wouldn't need computer access. The air filtration system in this room has at least 7 exploitable weaknesses that I could trigger with a pocket multi-tool." The casual way he says this sends a chill down all 4 of my spinal segments. "All right," Parker announces, straightening up. Phase 1 of the plan is ready. I have remapped the distribution network in the computer. Now comes the hard part. We need to physically reconfigure the junction boxes in maintenance shaft Alpha 7. That area was damaged in the attack, I point out. The structural integrity is compromised. Yeah, I figured. That's why I'm going in myself. That's suicide, Garl protests. The radiation levels alone would kill most species, yes. Parker starts emptying his many pockets onto a nearby console, revealing an assortment of tools, devices, and what appears to be a half-eaten food bar. Fortunately, humans have this neat trick called short-term radiation resistance. I will feel like garbage tomorrow, but I will live. If the shaft collapses, I begin. Then you will all die anyway. Parker shrugs. Look, I'm not doing this out of the goodness of my heart. My transport to Vega Prime is scheduled to rendezvous with this station in 4 days. I need this place functioning until then. I study the human carefully. You are risking your life for a transport schedule? Parker pauses, something flickering in those small eyes. Let's just say I have important reasons to get to Vega Prime on time. He checks a device on his wrist. Now, I need 2 things, your engineering crew's toolkit and someone who knows the maintenance shafts. I will accompany you, offers Plex, stepping forward. Her species evolved in high-radiation environments. She's the logical choice. Great. Toolkit? I nod to Garl, who retrieves our emergency repair kit. Parker opens it and actually laughs at our equipment. This is it. This is your emergency kit? My nephew has better tools in his toy box. He sighs, selecting a few items and adding them to his own collection. It will have to do. Mr. Parker, I say, feeling a strange need to understand this creature. Why are you an engineer? Your species is known across the galaxy for its military prowess. Humans are warriors, conquerors. Parker snorts. That's just propaganda. Sure, we have got our fair share of soldiers, but for every human with a gun, there are 1,000 with wrenches and soldering irons. He pockets a small device from our kit. Humans don't conquer through force, Chief. We conquer through infrastructure. Roads, bridges, power grids, space stations, we build stuff, and then we fix it when it breaks. And when something can't be fixed, his expression darkens. Everything can be fixed. Sometimes you just need to get angry enough at the problem. With that cryptic statement, Parker and Plex depart from maintenance shaft Alpha 7, leaving me to wonder if I have just witnessed the salvation of my station or the beginning of an even greater disaster. 3 agonizing hours pass. The command center's atmosphere grows increasingly tense as the life support systems continue their gradual decline. 31% of the station's inhabitants have been moved to the central areas, following Parker's instructions, but the rest remain scattered throughout the habitat rings, conserving what little good air remains. Any word from Plex? I ask Garl for the 7th time in as many minutes. Nothing since their last check-in, sir. They should have reached the primary junction box by now. I'm about to order a search team when the station's lighting flickers, then stabilizes at a higher intensity than before. Sir, exclaims one of the technicians, power flow has been rerouted. The backup systems are coming online. The main display confirms that somehow Parker has managed to integrate the backup life support with the main distribution network. It's not pretty. The schematic shows dozens of jury-rigged connections and bypassed safety systems, but it's working. Atmospheric regulators now at 62% and rising, reports Garl, a note of disbelief in his voice. Estimated sustainability, 79 hours. A ragged cheer goes up around the command center. I allow myself a moment of relief before reality reasserts itself. That's still not enough time for rescue. The nearest Galactic Union vessel is at least 5 days away. The comm system crackles. That's why we are not done yet. Parker's voice comes through broken and strained. Phase 2, starting now. Parker? What's your status? Where's Plex? She's fine. Had to send her back, different route. Listen, need you to reroute power to section 22D. That's the communications array, Garl notes. But it was destroyed in the attack. Not destroyed, just damaged. I can fix it. I exchange glances with my officers. Parker, the diagnostics show the array is beyond repair. The focusing dish was sheared clean off. Trust me on this. Power to section 22D. Now. Against my better judgment, I nod to the power management officer. Do it. As the station's precious energy reserves flow to the supposedly destroyed communications array, I can't help but wonder what this human is planning. The focusing dish is essential for long-range communication. Without it, we might as well be shouting into the void. Another hour passes. The status of the atmospheric regulators continues to improve, now hovering at 78%. Still, without a way to call for help, we are merely prolonging the inevitable. The command center doors slide open, and in stumbles Plex, her exoskeleton singed and one of her sensory stalks hanging at an odd angle. What happened? I demand, rushing to her side. Where's Parker? That human, she gasps, is either a genius or completely insane. Possibly both. Explain. He sent me back when we reached the junction box. Said he needed to continue alone to the communications array. She slumps into a seat. He's building a new focusing dish, sir, out of spare parts. That's impossible, Garl interjects. The focusing dish requires precise calibration and specialized materials to function correctly. Plex makes a sound that might be a laugh. Tell that to the human. He's cannibalizing parts from 3 different sections of the station. Said something about MacGyvering a solution. I'm about to ask for clarification when the main display changes, showing an incoming transmission. Sir, says the communications officer, amazement evident in their voice. We are receiving a signal from the communications array. It's weak, but it's there. Put it through. The display flickers, and there's Parker, his face streaked with what appears to be a mixture of grease, blood, and some unidentifiable blue fluid. Behind him is a contraption that only vaguely resembles a focusing dish, a hodgepodge of metal panels, circuitry, and what looks suspiciously like parts of a food replicator. Hey, Chief, Parker grins, that predatory smile back on his face. Like my new dish? It's not pretty, but it will send a signal about half a light year. Should be enough to reach the GC outpost on Taurus Minor. How did you? No time to explain. I'm sending the distress call now, but I need you to boost power to the array by another 40%. That will drain our reserves, Garl protests. Life support will suffer. It's a calculated risk, Parker counters. 10 minutes at full power, then we shut it down. The message will get through. I make the decision instantly. Do it. As the power flows to Parker's improvised communications array, the lights throughout the command center dim to emergency levels. On the display, Parker works feverishly, his fingers dancing across a jury-rigged control panel. The message sent, he announces after several tense minutes. Now, cut the power before. The transmission abruptly ends as a distant explosion rocks the station. What was that? I demand. Overload in Section 22D, reports the power management officer. The communications array just blew itself apart. Parker? Parker, respond. I call into the comm system. No answer. Sir, Garl says quietly, if he was still in that section when it blew. I close my eye membranes briefly. Send a rescue team and check if his message got through. The next hour passes in a blur of activity. The rescue team reports that Section 22D is a charred mess with no sign of Parker. Meanwhile, our long-range sensors detect a faint acknowledgement signal from Taurus Minor the message was received. Just as I'm about to officially declare the human lost, the command center doors slide open once more. Standing there, supported by two of the rescue team members, is Devon Parker. His jumpsuit is in tatters, his exposed skin covered in burns and cuts, but those small human eyes are alert and somehow amused. You should see the other guy, he quips, before collapsing into the nearest chair. How are you still alive? I ask, genuinely curious. Ducked into a maintenance closet right before the dish blew. Reinforced walls. He winces as one of our medical officers applies a healing gel to his burns. Told you it was a calculated risk. The GEC outpost received your message, I inform him. They are dispatching a rescue vessel. Estimated arrival, 68 hours. Parker nods, satisfaction evident on his strange human face. Perfect. Just enough time for Phase 3. Phase 3? I repeat, a sense of dread washing over me. What's Phase 3? The human grins, and despite everything, I find myself almost looking forward to his answer. Phase 3, Chief Vex, is where we turn this defenseless station into something the Krell will regret ever attacking. He leans forward, wincing again at the movement. Because if there's one thing humans are better at than fixing things, it's making sure they don't get broken again. And that's when I realize that having an angry human engineer on my station might not be the worst thing after all. It might just be our salvation. You want to what? I stare at Parker, convinced that either his brain has been radiation fried or I have fundamentally misunderstood human language. I want to weaponize the station, he repeats, as if requesting something as simple as a cup of nutrient broth. The Krell will be back. They always come back to finish the job. This is an orbital research platform, not a battleship, I remind him. We have no weapons systems, no defensive capabilities beyond basic shields, which, in case you have forgotten, are completely offline. Parker laughs. Not the amused laugh from earlier, but something darker, almost predatory. Chief Vex, anything can be a weapon if you are creative enough. He stands, grimacing through obvious pain, and limps to the main display. The Krell attacked for a reason. What exactly do you research here? Garl clears his throat nervously. Primarily xenobiology and gravitational anomalies. Nothing that would interest a military power. Wrong, Parker says flatly. Everything interests military powers, especially research that could potentially be weaponized. He turns to me. What's your most dangerous experiment on this station? And don't give me the official answer. Give me the real one. I hesitate. Nexus 9's primary mission is indeed research, but there are certain projects that fall into the category of sensitive. We have a contained quantum singularity in Laboratory Complex D, I admit reluctantly. It's for studying micro-black hole dynamics. Parker's eyes widen, then he grins that unsettling grin again. A mini black hole? Oh, that's perfect. It's completely contained, I hastily add. Triple reinforced gravitic boundaries, constant monitoring. It's perfectly safe. Nothing that bends the fabric of reality is perfectly safe, Parker counters. But that's exactly what we need. Show me the lab. 30 minutes later, we stand before the sealed doors of Laboratory Complex D. Most of the research staff evacuated to the central core after the attack, leaving only automated systems monitoring the experiments. The singularity is approximately the size of a hydrogen atom, I explain as we enter. But it has the gravitational pull of a small moon, hence the containment field. Parker approaches the containment chamber with reverence. Inside, suspended between 4 graviton emitters, floats what appears to be nothing more than a tiny dark speck. The monitoring systems around it display a dizzying array of readings and warnings. "Beautiful," he whispers. "Do you have any idea what you could do with this?" "Theoretical research into gravitational manipulation," I reply. "Potential applications in faster-than-light travel, energy production." "Weaponry," Parker interrupts. "If you could destabilize the containment field in a controlled way, direct the gravitational pull, you could tear apart anything in its path." I feel my inner membranes contract with alarm. That would be incredibly dangerous. The calculations alone would take weeks, and one mistake could destroy the entire station. Parker turns to me, those alien eyes burning with determination. "I majored in quantum mechanics before switching to engineering. Give me 3 hours and your best computer." "You can't be serious." 65 hours until rescue arrives. "The Krell will be back before then." "Do you have a better plan?" "I don't, and that's the most frustrating part." "Fine, but I'm assigning Plex to monitor your work. If she determines your calculations are putting the station at risk, we shut this down immediately." Parker nods. "Fair enough. Now, while the computer crunches the numbers, we need to start gathering materials. I will need the largest portable power cells you have, all the superconducting wire you can spare, and access to the station's maneuvering thrusters." "The thrusters? Why?" "Because," Parker says with that predatory smile, "we are going to turn this entire station into a weapon." The next 12 hours are a flurry of activity. Parker works like a being possessed, splitting his time between complex quantum calculations and hands-on engineering. Despite his injuries, he crawls through maintenance ducts, rewires power junctions, and modifies systems with a speed that borders on the supernatural. The rest of us scramble to keep up, fetching materials, executing commands, and occasionally staring in horror as Parker casually bypasses safety protocols that have been standard for generations. "Is he always like this?" Garl asks Plex during a rare moment of rest. "Worse," she replies, her sensory stalks drooping with exhaustion. "You should have seen him in the maintenance shaft. He reconfigured a toxic waste filtration system using parts from a food replicator and what I'm pretty sure was one of his own dental fillings. Humans are unsettling," Garl says quietly. "Yes," Plex agrees. "But I'm starting to understand why they have never lost a war." By hour 15 of Parker's Phase 3, the station has been transformed. Laboratory Complex D now houses what the human calls a gravitational lance. A horrifying contraption that, according to his explanations, it can project a controlled stream of gravitational distortion capable of shearing through hull plating like it's made of foam. The main habitat ring has been modified to channel emergency power to this device, with the station's maneuvering thrusters reconfigured to compensate for the recoil. Most alarmingly, Parker has somehow integrated the quantum singularity's containment field into the station's sensor array, creating what he describes as a gravity radar that can detect ships at 3 times our normal range. "Sir," one of my junior officers reports, "long-range sensors are picking up multiple warp signatures. Estimated arrival, 20 minutes. "Krell?" I ask, already knowing the answer. Energy signatures match their propulsion systems, 4 vessels, including 1 heavy cruiser. I turn to Parker, who is making final adjustments to a makeshift control panel. "They are coming back." "Right on schedule," he says without looking up. Krell are nothing if not predictable. They never leave survivors. We have 67 non-combat personnel on this station, I remind him. Your makeshift weapon is untested, and we have no battle training. Parker finally looks up. Then it's a good thing we are not going to fight fair. He gestures to the main display. I have plotted their most likely approach vector based on their previous attack pattern. They will come in from the shadow of the third moon, using its magnetic field to mask their signatures until the last moment. How could you possibly know that? Because that's what I would do. He straightens up, wincing slightly. Now, here's the plan. When they enter sensor range, we are going to play dead. We are dead, Garl points out. Exactly. We will power down everything except minimal life support and the gravitational lance. They will detect the power drop and assume their initial attack was more successful than they thought. They will come in close to verify before finishing the job. And then? When? Parker's expression turns grim. And then we show them why humans don't need warships to win fights. The next 20 minutes are the longest of my life. The station powers down to minimal levels, emergency lighting casting eerie shadows across the command center. Parker stands by his jury-rigged control panel, occasionally making tiny adjustments, his face illuminated by the soft blue glow of the display. Contact, reports the sensor officer. 4 Krell vessels entering the outer detection range. They are approaching cautiously. Good, Parker murmurs. Let them come. Sir, Garl whispers to me, what if this doesn't work? Then we die, I reply simply. But at least we die trying. The Krell ships draw closer, their formation tight and disciplined. The heavy cruiser leads, its massive form dwarfing our station even from a distance. They are scanning us, reports the sensor officer. Penetrating scans. They will detect life signs. No, they won't, Parker says confidently. I have reconfigured our environmental systems to mask our biosignatures. To their scanners, we look like a dead station with a few automated systems still running on emergency power. Sure enough, the Krell continue their approach, apparently satisfied that the station poses no threat. They are entering optimal range, Parker announces, preparing gravitational lance. A low hum fills the command center as power redirects to Parker's creation. The temperature drops several degrees as life support systems divert energy to the weapon. The cruiser is taking up position directly ahead, the sensor officer reports. The smaller vessels are spreading out to surround us. Perfect, Parker says, his fingers dancing across the control panel. Targeting the cruiser. All I need is one clean shot at their engine core. They are charging weapons, Garl warns. Let them, Parker replies. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He slams his hand down on the activation control. For a moment, nothing happens. Then the entire station shudders as if struck by some massive invisible force. The lights flicker wildly and several console displays crack from the strain. On the main viewer, a distortion appears in space, a barely visible ripple extending from our station toward the Krell cruiser. It strikes the larger vessel amidships, and what happens next defies description. The cruiser folds. There's no other word for it. The metal hull crumples inward at the point of impact, as if crushed by a giant, invisible hand. The distortion continues through the ship, shearing it cleanly in two. The severed halves drift apart, secondary explosions blossoming along the break. Holy, what just happened? I managed to ask. Directed gravitational distortion, Parker explains, his voice clinical despite the destruction we have just witnessed. We essentially projected a narrow stream of hypergravity that increased the gravitational constant within that space by a factor of 10,000. Nothing in this universe can withstand that kind of force. The remaining Krell ships scatter in obvious panic, their formation breaking apart. They are retreating, the sensor officer reports with disbelief evident in their voice. No, Parker counters, adjusting his controls. They are regrouping. Krell never retreat. They will come back for another pass, this time spread out to avoid presenting a single target. He's right. The 3 remaining vessels curve around, taking up positions at widely separated points around the station. "Can you hit all 3? I ask. Parker shakes his head. "The Lance needs time to recharge. We have got 1 more shot, maybe 2 if we divert all remaining power." "Then what do we do?" For the first time since I have met him, Parker looks uncertain. "I don't know. I didn't expect the cruiser to take the full force of the first shot. I thought we'd have to wear it down." The Krell ships begin their approach, weapons systems glowing with deadly energy. "Sir," Garl says suddenly, "what if we use the station's rotation?" Parker looks at him sharply. "What do you mean?" "The station rotates to generate artificial gravity in the habitat rings. If we increase the rotation speed and time the Lance firing, we could potentially sweep the beam across all 3 ships." A slow smile spreads across Parker's face. "Garl, you beautiful 4-eyed genius. That's exactly what we will do." He turns to the station operations officer. "Increase rotation speed to maximum. Divert all power from life support if you have to. That will subject the station to structural stresses beyond safety parameters," the officer protests. "This whole plan is beyond safety parameters," Parker retorts. "Do it." The station begins to spin faster, the artificial gravity fluctuating wildly. Loose objects slide across the floor, and several crew members have to grab onto fixed structures to stay upright. Krell vessels approaching firing range, reports the sensor officer, clutching the edge of his console. "Charging gravitational lance," Parker announces. "We will get 1 shot at this." The hum returns, louder this time, accompanied by an ominous creaking from the station's superstructure. "Ready, wait for it." Parker watches the tactical display intently. Now, once again, he activates the Lance. This time, the station's increased rotation sweeps the gravitational distortion in an arc through space. The beam catches the first Krell ship head-on, crushing it instantly. The second vessel attempts evasive maneuvers, but clips the edge of the distortion, sending it spinning out of control with half its hull compressed inward. The third ship, however, manages to slip beneath the beam's arc. "We missed one," Garl exclaims. "And we are out of power," Parker confirms grimly. The Lance is dead. The surviving Krell vessel circles around, its weapons systems fully charged. There's a moment of terrible silence in the command center as we all realize what's about to happen. Then, suddenly, the Krell ship explodes in a brilliant flash of light. "What just happened?" I demand, blinking my eye membranes in confusion. "Sir," the sensor officer calls out, "I'm detecting a new contact. It's a GC transport vessel." The main display shifts to show a sleek transport ship moving into position where the Krell vessel had been moments before. "This is GC Transport Horizon to Nexus 9, comes a voice over the comm system. Looks like you folks could use a hand." Parker laughs, a genuine laugh of relief and triumph. Talk about perfect timing. "They weren't due for another 50 hours, I point out. "I might have exaggerated the rescue timeline a bit," Parker admits with a shrug. "Always better to underpromise and overdeliver. I should be angry at the deception, but after what we have just survived, I find I don't have the energy." "So this was your transport to Vega Prime?" "Yep. Captain Takumi never runs late." Parker grins. "And he's pretty handy in a fight, as you just saw." "All this," I gesture around at the modified station, the wrecked Krell ships, "just to make your transport on time?" Parker's expression turns serious. "My daughter's getting married on Vega Prime next week. I promised I wouldn't miss it. Nothing not Krell, not failed life support, not even a quantum singularity was going to make me break that promise." I stare at him, trying to process this information. "You turned our research station into a weapon of mass destruction. For a wedding?" "Family comes first," he says simply. "Besides, I'd say things worked out pretty well for everyone involved. You are alive, the Krell are dead, and I'm going to make it to the rehearsal dinner." As the GC transport docks with our station and rescue teams begin to arrive, I find myself reflecting on the events of the past 24 hours. In less than a day, one human, one angry, determined human managed to save a failing station, restore communications, and defeat a Krell battle group using nothing but ingenuity and stubborn determination. Parker, I say as he prepares to board the transport, the Galactic Union has strict regulations about weaponizing civilian research facilities. He pauses at the airlock. Going to report me, Chief Vex? I consider the question. The official report will state that the Krell vessels were destroyed when they triggered a previously unknown gravitational anomaly while attacking our station. A regrettable accident. Parker grins. Technically not even a lie. However, I continue, I would appreciate detailed documentation on the modifications you made to our systems for research purposes. Already done. He hands me a data chip, complete schematics for the gravitational lance, gravity radar, and a few other ideas I didn't have time to implement. Consider it a thank you gift. The Galactic Engineering Consortium allows you to share proprietary technology. Parker winks. What the GC doesn't know won't hurt them. Besides, after what the Krell did here, every station in the sector should have a fighting chance. He extends his hand in the human gesture of farewell. It's been interesting, Chief Vex. I extend my upper appendage and complete the ritual. Indeed it has, Mr. Parker. As he boards the transport, Garl approaches me. Sir, do you really think it's wise to keep that gravitational weapon operational? It's incredibly dangerous. I watch the transport ship detach from our station, preparing to jump to warp. Garl, I have learned an important lesson today. What's that, sir? The most dangerous weapon in the galaxy isn't a quantum singularity, or a gravitational lance, or even a Krell battle group. I turn to face my assistant. It's one angry human with a deadline to meet. In the days that follow, as repair ships arrive and Nexus 9 slowly returns to normal operations, I often find myself thinking about Devon Parker. The Galactic Union has always viewed humans with a mixture of fascination and fear, never quite sure whether to classify them as allies or potential threats. Now I understand why. It's not their physical strength or their military might that makes humans formidable. It's their relentless creativity, their ability to look at a hopeless situation and see possibilities where others see only certain doom. The data chip Parker gave me sits in my quarters, a reminder of 24 hours that changed my understanding of the universe. I haven't decided yet whether to share its contents with my superiors or keep it as insurance against future attacks. One thing is certain, though, I will never underestimate what one human can accomplish when properly motivated, especially if that human happens to be an engineer with somewhere important to be. And if I ever hear reports of a Krell fleet being mysteriously destroyed near Vega Prime, well, I will just assume someone's daughter was getting married.